What's up, guys? If you remember, I did Raw Deal a couple weeks ago. Kind of been in a Schwarzenegger mood. And one of my patrons actually wants me to review Total Recall, the original. So we're going to do it. Let's go. Total Recall stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sharon Stone, Michael Ironside, and is directed by Paul Verhoeven. What's up, guys? It's a good day. I get to review a Paul Verhoeven movie. I love Paul Verhoeven. I did Hollow Man, which I think is highly underrated, with Kevin Bacon a few months ago. I need to cover some more of his films, like RoboCop. I haven't done that one yet. I did the remake, actually, which isn't that bad, but it doesn't compare to the original. But we're going to do Total Recall. Boy, total blast from the past. This is when Arnold Schwarzenegger was at the tip top right before Terminator 2. And the guy could do no wrong.
You think this is the real Quaid? It is.
His work ethic, which we'll talk about a little bit in this, is impeccable. And, you know, we watch these movies, but we don't realize what goes into them. And we think actors, they just randomly pick parts and they're going to be good because, no. Schwarzenegger actively sought out this script for this movie, Total Recall. Originally, it was going to be Patrick Swayze when it was with Dino De Laurentiis, but then it fell through. First off, before we jump into all that stuff, though, let's give you a quick plot synopsis. I mean, we've all probably seen Total Recall. Have we? I think a lot of us have, at least for action. And also, this is a patron request. It's dedicated to Bronson Wright Wolf. And I have to say, I was going to do Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy, 2003, but I did ask him if I could go ahead and do this one because I'm actually doing the remake of Total Recall for another patron, and that's Chappie. Chappie wants me to do the remake. He actually sent it to me. So I'm looking forward to watching that, and I haven't watched it yet because I wanted to watch this with fresh eyes, not watch the remake, and so that way I wouldn't, you know, I get things mixed up, I guess. I didn't want to have that movie influence my review of this movie. But Arnold Schwarzenegger, he plays Douglas Quaid. He is a construction worker. This is set in the future, I believe around like 2094, somewhere around there. I don't even know if it actually says it in the movie. Reading behind the scenes, I read that it was supposed to take place around that time, 2094. He's married to Lori, played by Sharon Stone. And, you know, just normal day at the office. Kind of reminded me of The Running Man, which is another one I watched just a few weeks ago, because he was a similar, you know, job title in that one. As a matter of fact, in the book, he's not like a beefy type character like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's more of just an everyman, right? And he works in an office. But Arnold Schwarzenegger playing the part, they had to figure out a way around that. And Arnold Schwarzenegger came up with the idea, hey, how about just be a construction worker? We can buy a construction worker looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, the guy literally did construction when he was up and coming, doing his Mr. Olympia type stuff. But there's this company called Recall. We all like vacations, but what if you could take a vacation and it's all in your head, in your mind, but it feels so real, right? So they kind of like jacking you into the Matrix. So he sits in this chair and he wants to go to Mars. He wants the Mars package, and he wants to be like a secret agent, a spy, or that's kind of the idea that's presented to him. And so, like, right at the end of the process, before he is fully complete and he has become this character, the secret agent, all hell breaks loose. He starts going crazy. Then the movie takes off. Now, in your mind, you're thinking, oh, that's just part of the trip, right? You don't know for sure if this is actually happening, or if somewhere during that is where the whole thing started. And so there's this rich business type character by the name of Cohagen, who is our main baddie. We've seen this type of character so many times, the evil businessman, and all he cares about is greed and money, and he doesn't care about the people at all. And there's this what's called a turbinium ore that's worth, I guess think of it like the spice in Dune, right? So that's what the spice is in this movie. But in Quaid's situation, he is on the run at the beginning of the movie after that event, and he thinks in his mind that he isn't a secret agent, and he's, trying to escape, and the company is trying to capture him to keep him from hurting himself and others. And then he ends up on Mars, and he ends up in this, like, the underworld of the whole thing, There's this famous bar scene that's very similar to, like, say, the cantina scene from Star Wars. And you got the woman with the 3 breasts. And I think that's a good transition. This movie is so eccentric and so Paul Verhoeven and excessive. Verhoeven is just the type of director that he doesn't hold back. I'm making a movie, so I'm going to make it count. So if there's going to be excessive type situations, then we're going to play that out and we're going to show it to the best of our ability. And if you have actors that are a little bit uncomfortable, or if you have like way too much violence, excess. That's what Paul Verhoeven is. And when you watch one of his movies, then when you go back and watch, normal Hollywood movies that don't push the envelope as much, they feel kind of sanitized. And that's just the effect that Verhoeven has. And I don't think critics took him that seriously back in like the 80s because of how excessive he was. Yeah, he probably got good reviews. Oftentimes he would be criticized for going too far, right? But he doesn't care. That's the movie he wants to make. And you know what? Looking back, it makes him stand out above other directors. There's a reason he's Paul Verhoeven. We know his name. Or at least people that are really into films know the name Paul Verhoeven. Now, the backstory is interesting on this, too. It's based on this book, We Can Remember It For You Wholesale, by Philip K. Dick. But Ron Shusett and Dan O'Bannon, they were roommates, and they actually had the rights to this movie and Alien. And because Alien was going to be much, much cheaper to make, they decided to do that movie, and then they would do this one. And this one went through so many studios and, just a lot of red tape. But eventually they were able to get it made in the late 80s. And what's interesting about this movie, too, is that Verhoeven was sick throughout most of the shoot, pretty much the entire shoot. And by the end of the shoot, he was literally bedridden. And he said, hell or high water, we're going to finish this movie. Unless I die, keep rolling. It's just one of those stories that you hear about, shooting in another country. They shot this one in Mexico and eating the food over there and then people getting sick. And, only like Schwarzenegger and Ron Shusett, they actually had their food shipped in from America. And so they didn't get sick. But I can imagine this was a pretty tough shoot. There's a lot going on in this movie. A lot of sets here. You got Rob Bottin doing the visual effects. And one of the most famous, of course, is Quado. But it's also got a lot of comedy, because of Schwarzenegger. Schwarzenegger loved his characters to be fun and quirky, just to make them memorable. Because Schwarzenegger, he's just a big oak of a guy, right? And if he played everything super serious, then he would come off as boring. But because he always had these quippy, funny one-liners like, consider that a divorce, which originally it was going to be called consider this a divorce, because he says the line and then kills her, and they thought that'd be a little bit too over the line, so they ended up having him kill her out of self-defense and then say the line. But, if you go through like a Schwarzenegger soundbite playlist, I would wager that there's quite a few from Total Recall, just because of how out there the plot is of the movie and how ambiguous it is, which it leaves you guessing at the end of the movie. I love how they don't spell out if Quaid is actually dreaming or not. You could come to your own conclusion, and that just makes this movie fun. But because it's Verhoeven, it is excessive, it is bloody as hell, and I'm not saying that as a con at all. These are my type of movies. You have Sharon Stone, which right before Basic Instinct, she's still a little bit scandalous in this movie. I know that Verhoeven wanted her to be like fully nude in the scene, and she said no, but then she ended up doing it in Basic Instinct anyway. But for a Schwarzenegger movie, doing like a love scene, I think this might be the farthest he's ever went, because he doesn't really do those types of movies. And Schwarzenegger's work ethic, if it wasn't for him, this movie probably wouldn't have gotten made. Every project that Schwarzenegger took on, he was always front and center, pushing, talking on the phone with everybody, trying to get the movie made. And that's why Schwarzenegger is Schwarzenegger. It's not just the muscles. The guy is very, very smart. And this is a smart script. It really is. So Total Recall, man, I'm giving this a high purchase worthy. It's a really, really fun movie. I don't watch it as much as I do some other Schwarzenegger movies, but I can't deny its quality. And I will say, I have seen the remake. When it first came out, I never wanted to watch it again, but now I'm going to watch it again. And I'll give it a fair assessment, okay? Maybe something will jump out at me that I'll like this time. Who knows? Because I don't even remember it that much. So Let me know in the comments what you guys think of Total Recall. Looking forward to hearing them. Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays, we do Fear for Fridays. Follow me, Drumdums, on all my socials. Support me on Patreon. Buy me a coffee. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. Drumdum out.